The next item is an item I put on the agenda for a specific purpose. We are ruled by 318. We're a company established by 318. We need to abide by the law under 318. There is specifications for how we hold a meeting, what we're required to do, how we're to notify it. We have, as a board, I've been on the board now for 10 years, a little over 10 years. I have never been to a meeting that was not noticed. I have never been to a meeting that was not open. I've never seen a decision made by this board or anything in this board that was not made in an open meeting. We comply, basically, with the notification required beyond the 318. If you read 318, we're required to have one regular meeting a year. We have 12 meetings, 10 meetings generally. We usually miss a month or two. And according to 318, special meetings, the only notification that is required by law is that every member of this board must be notified. We have gone way beyond that, and we will continue to go way beyond that. I would not suggest we change that. The only issue I would like to throw out to the board, and this is information item only, and discussion only, no action today, is would this board, we do not have that stated in a policy or in writing. It has just been, this is the way we've been done. When I came on the board, they explained to me that you don't meet with, guys who would cause you to have more than one. You don't have string meetings. You don't do these kind of things. And we know that verbally. And we abide by that, and have abided by it. My question is, would it be the wish of this board to have our attorney maybe look at 318, outline what all those specifics are, and set a policy for the board that this is how we conduct our meetings? I don't think we're required to do that. I can read 318, and I've spent the last month reading 318.
You've been reading it.
Yes, I have, and I've read it and been through it maybe 5 or 6 times, and I have hassled our attorney for definitions and explanations of where 239 comes in and where 241 comes in. And there are a couple of references to that, and we have abided by those, and as long as we're within the 318. So I guess where I'm at is it the wish of this board that we draw up a policy that states this is how we conduct and this is how we notify a meeting? Or are you comfortable with reading 318 and say we will comply with 318 as, by the way, when we got our opinion back from the Attorney General, that's exactly what he told us. You are 318 and that you need to comply with that. He urged, I think is the term, that we tape all of our meetings. We had started that.
We had redo that already.
Yeah, we'd already started that. In the past, we had, as 318 says, kept a written record of our meetings. Right. And rather than burden our secretary with a job of having a more complete transcript, we decided to go to the recording. So we are in compliance, as the Attorney General ruled, with 318, and that's what we have to do. And I guess my only question is, would this board like to have a policy written, or are you comfortable with just saying, okay, here's what 318 is, I can read 318, and I understand 318, and we function as we have in the past, above the requirements of 318.
I think there's no need to go any further. If we're meeting the 318, there's no reason to set another policy that is already written and established. That's what I feel.
I think it would be valuable, though, to have the attorney indicate what's required by 318.
Yeah, that might be
specify,
but to write another policy based on just our board.
And then he could also include in that what our practices are that are above and beyond the requirements. So one of the things Dr. Moses and I talked about is making that available to new board members of what functionally how we have a meeting and how it's open to the public. And so you would have an understanding of how that's to take place. So that it's not just a verbal, this is what we normally do.
Yeah.
We would have something we could hand you to say, this is.
318 is on the internet, you can go and look
Yeah,
at it.
sure
Yeah.
you can.
Yeah, it's just absolutely,
314, I guess.
yeah, it's just absolutely thrilling to sit and read 318 about 6 or 7 times.
And there's as many experts on that as there are people in the room, so.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, I can do that.
Yeah, written would be good. Written disqualified for 318.
You know, I think having him get that list, and then if we want to go any further than that, we can.
We can do that. Have him do a presentation on
Yeah.
the open meeting law.
What it is.
Well, I don't care to have it on the open meeting law. I've read that.
On 318.
I've read that one 5 or 6 times too, and along with 239, which is in there, and we are required to meet that,
Yeah,
and we
we
do
do.
meet it. Hey, I'm all in favor of meeting whatever the law tells us to meet. And for 10 years on this board, we have met that. Very simple. It's as simple as that.
There's another one that I actually went on the internet, got, it's called 241.
That's the open meeting law. That is the one that requires. That is the quote unquote open meeting law.
That's different than 318.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
But substantively, they are pretty much identical requirements.
Well, I wouldn't say.
There's
Well,
a few,
There are some
changes,
few,
but.
for example, we give you one of the bad things of 241, for example. Thanks to the governor and his committees he creates of 2 people, open meeting law doesn't even allow 2 of you to get together at any time and discuss anything to do with OPD. If you did, that would be a board meeting that would need to be published, noticed, minutes taken, recorded. You know what I mean?
If the board wanted to appoint 2 of you to investigate a power contract or look at some issue, it would all be a change to, or be subject to 241.
And I can create some of those comparisons and show you what is required under that compared to what we're doing now. A lot of it's similar. There are some differences.
So 318, the title of it is also meetings of state.
No, 318 is our governing statute. It is the statute
That
by
creates
which
this.
how we run and how we were created.
A little background on that, when we were originally formed in 1935, that law was on the books until about 1965, I think. And then, in order to kind of pull everything together, the legislature pulled all of these small entities together and created 355, I believe. And then a few years later, they took that same organization and rolled it into 318, which is General Improvement District. And 318 covers anything from mosquito abatement, hospitals, any kind of general improvement you may want to do. And so that's how we ended up where we're at.
Yeah, they stuck us there.
The other option is you can have a specific charter that spells out your rules and regulations. We're subject to those state statutes.
Yeah. Between 318 and our current policies, that was really how we're governed.
So
We're not considered a
We are
local.
not subject to that legally.
We're not a local agency.
We do not meet the statutory language for that.
because we don't use any tax dollars.
Well, and not only that, we don't,
Okay.
we have no legislative power. The public, until a public entity has legislative power, has the power to tax. The only closest thing we have to power to tax, as I read the law, is that we can request the county commissioner, we can say, hey, we'd like to tax, but we have to get permission from the county commissioners, they are the taxing body. So we're not a public entity under that definition.
I'll forward my briefs that I've prepared and passed to the two new board members.
Okay, any more comment on that? Okay, and that was no action item there. Our next item is public comments, may be limited to 3 minutes per person. Do I see it?
Yeah, David Baldwin, private citizen, ratepayer of this power company.
Do you have the time?
Got time to make sure I don't take too much time here. Mr. Moses, one of the first meetings I came to and questioned this board, you directed the attorney to check if you had to keep them open meeting. I took that as an insult to me because I asked a question. Mr. Mills came back the next meeting and said, we can close these meetings if we want to. Quite an insult to an individual that comes to ask a question of this board. So, and my point is you guys want to continue to skirt the gold standard of open meeting 241. Mr. Mills, again, gives opinion that is incorrect. I have sat in a multiple number of legal reviews or legal instructions on open meeting requirements. Two of you people can get together and it doesn't violate open meetings. And Mr. Mills, you need to correct yourself because I've been participated in cities and boards all over, municipal boards, under 241 that two people can see.
In the last 2 years, sir?
Yes, sir.
Since the change?
Yes, sir.
That you've been in violation.
We have not been in violation. So then you've got multiple jurisdictions. You're not in violation. So I think at this particular point, if this board wants to get some credibility, accept 241 and quit the game playing. Quit saying, I want this, or I want this. No, we don't want to do that because we think that's too restrictive. At some point, you just need to stand up and say, we're going to do 241 that everybody else applies to. Number two, I didn't say anything about laying anybody off. I said you need to reduce operations by 10%. There's more than just payroll that goes to operations. So your board needs to start listening to what's being stated. I made no statement of laying anybody off. I said operations. So I want to get that on the record. Number three, I didn't get an answer to whether our two new board members have taken the oath of office. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Barbara Elistad, Mesquite Citizen Journal. At last month's meeting, I asked the board entirely to place an item on this meeting's agenda that would discuss the expenditures made under the 2009 bond. Apparently, that didn't do any good to ask the entire board. So I believe I have 4 Mesquite representatives on this board. Is that correct?
No.
Mr. Waite, are you a Mesquite representative?
You have 2 1/7.
Okay. Mr. Pugh, you're a Mesquite representative, and then I believe I have at least 1 member at large that represents me in Mesquite. Is that correct?
Yes, that's Steve.
Okay, Mr. Miller. So I'm going to ask the 3 of you specifically to place an item on the March agenda. I'll be real specific. March agenda that gives a full disclosure of all the expenditures made from the 2009 bond. It is 2009, right? 2008. 2008 bond. And compare those expenditures to the bond issuance document that states what the money is used for specifically. There are very specific items in that bond issuance document, what that money can be used for. So I would like the expenditures compared to the bond issuance document, allowable expenses. Okay?
So was there a document laid out that said this is what we're going to spend this money on?
Yes, sir, there was.
The bonds out?
It's available on the internet, by the way. That's how we found it. Okay? So I would like that placed on the March agenda. I'm asking my 3 representatives. Thank you.
The bond expenditures is also online. It's been posted online.
We'll make that an agenda item.
All right. We, the next is selecting the next board meeting, date and location.
Maybe March 20th, would be the third Wednesday.
And that'll be here, or will that be the one in the ski?
Be here.
We're here. Okay. Okay, I'm looking for a motion for our next meeting to be March 20th.
I'll make a motion.
Here.
I'll make a motion, we have the meeting on the 20th.
Got the motion, can I have a second? I've got a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
There's no statutory requirement that it happens on the third Wednesday. The board can change that at will.
4 PM, same.
yeah.